Good morning, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Thank you guys so much for being here. My name is Alexa, Operations Manager here at the BPM RIA office. I want to welcome you to this webinar today. We're going to be talking about buying rental homes. You are in the right place, guys. This is the only local chapter here in South Florida that is partnered and affiliated with the National Real Estate Investors Association. So welcome, guys. We have the Realty Medics here. They're going to introduce themselves in just a moment. But for now, I'm going to give you a couple quick upcoming announcements. Oh my gosh, guys, here we are again. The Realty Medics really coming through for you guys. Their generosity, it blows me away. So you see it here on the screen right now. I'll pop it in the chat for you guys too. The Realty Medics is giving away for everyone in this webinar right now. New clients only receive 2 free months of property management, approximately 8% of the rent. So that's depending on what's going on with you, but it's incredibly generous. Thank you so much, the Realty Medics. And you guys can take a quick picture of this. I'll send it in a thank you email, but we got to keep moving. So just thank you guys. We'll be thanking them more by the end of the webinar, but just so generous, and I absolutely love that. So upcoming events, guys, please mark your calendars, check out the website. We have a ton of upcoming events. We are finishing off this month strong. I think it's 25 days left in this year. So you guys know we're not skipping a beat. We have our monthly meeting tomorrow evening on Zoom with Get Fundable. Don't miss it. This is extremely important information for you to finish your year off strong and start this year off on the right foot. You're not going to want to miss Get Fundable. Meryl is coming back. It's not Brad, it's Meryl. So go ahead and check out the event post on the website and register right now or right after this webinar for a monthly meeting tomorrow. And we'll be giving away a raffle. So look out for that one. And advanced tax advisors coming back. We're going to be getting into tax planning strategies, end of year, getting prepared for this next year, 2023. Everyone always wants to keep learning from Jose. So go ahead and register for that free webinar as soon as you can. Here we are, REI Black Book coming back for another webinar. They're going to be teaching us how to make 2023 our best year in business yet. I highly recommend you come to this one. This is the system we use to automate so many things. All of our students use REI Black Book. I live in REI Black Book. So I highly recommend you don't miss any of our events, guys, because they're all so good. And then big star, highlight, bold, underline, our next quarterly networking meeting is happening Wednesday, January 4th, 5:30 to 8:30. Members get in free, non-members $15 if you get your ticket now before the day of, and it will be $20 at the door for non-members. Our guests of our members, of course, your guests get $10 half price tickets, but of course, guys, you all need to RSVP, members included. Everyone please RSVP on the website. I'll go ahead and throw the link in the chat for you guys in just a moment. I will be throwing a ton of helpful links in the chat for you guys. So just keep your eyes on that chat box for me. And I really want to meet you guys. I want to see you, I want to shake your hand, exchange business cards. We're going to learn how to navigate and crush it in 2023 as a real estate investor on January 4th. We will be following January 4th with a workshop, limited seating. We want to make sure this is intimate and really awesome for you guys. This will be Saturday, January 7th, 9 a.m. to 12. Both of these events right here will be taught by Anish for the educational portion. So if you have any questions on how to register for our events, please do not hesitate to send me an email. You can text me on my direct line. I'll be giving you all my direct contact information by the end of this webinar. So don't hesitate to reach out for me because I want you guys to have a great experience at these in-person events and workshops and everything we have going on this year. So don't let technical difficulties stop you. I am here to help. Here we go. My favorite way to keep up with events, as most of you guys know, is via text. It is so easy to opt in text alerts for our events. You can simply text the word BPM REIA, no spaces, don't include these little thingies here, just what's in blue here. No spaces, to our event line, 954-800-6961. You cannot call me on this line, guys. This is just for event updates and our raffles that we do. You guys will have my direct number very soon if you don't have it already. But yes, if you want to get an update like this morning for our webinar today, you received a text reminding you of our webinar with a link to register in case you did not register already. Super easy, super convenient. Let me know if you have any questions about that, and I will pop this in the chat for you guys momentarily. So yes, boot camp dates are out. It is coming around the corner. Everyone, if you have any questions about the Quick Start Bootcamp, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'll be sure to send you all a link with more details on all the topics that we get into, all of the speakers that we have come on. We have 4 incredible guest speakers coming on this 2 full-day training. It is live. It is on Zoom. It is still interactive. Cameras and microphones will be on. You will get a booklet to keep for life. You will get an itinerary outlining the entire training and what time and everything that's happening, all the different talks and different presentations. So as you see below, we have member and non-member pricing. This is a money back guarantee, guys. Yes, money back guarantee. If you spend 2 days, didn't enjoy it for any reason, you let us know and you will get your money back, although we have not had that happen yet. So I'm excited for you guys to learn so much at this training. We already have so many of you guys signed up. So let me know if you have any questions, because it is coming up around the corner. No time to waste. So get your questions in. Don't sit there wondering if this is good for you. Just get the questions answered and we can figure it out. So members, all of our members get all the goodies. They get the National RIA benefit package. They get in free for our networking in-person meetings. Their guests get in at half off, $10. They get discounts to our boot camps, workshops, everything that we have that is paid. They get special pricing. And of course, we have our corporate membership opportunities as well. If you believe that this would be a good fit for you, please contact me so we can talk about it. All right. And last but very not least, we do offer one-on-one coaching and mentoring here at BPM RIA. It is a truly unique one-on-one coaching program. Here's my direct line and down below. You can call or text me on this line, not during the webinar, but you can definitely reach out to me if you have any questions. You can actually just to make it super easy for you, you can go to the website right now, bpmreia.com, and you can actually schedule a call with me at a time that works for both you and for me. And I can dedicate that time to you to answer as many questions as I can, give you a brochure with a detailed breakdown of everything that's included in our mentoring and coaching program, and also help schedule this 1-hour free consultation for you. So easy, so awesome. Just super helpful if you have any questions about what we're doing behind the scenes in our one-on-one coaching program, where we put up 100% of the money for our students' deals and split the profit 50-50. So if you have any questions about that, please go ahead and check the website and book that call with me so that I can get you more information. All righty. Always want to take a moment to thank our sponsors, thank our corporate members, such as the Realty Medics. Thank you everyone for being in this webinar today and learning with us and engaging. We would not be able to have these incredible webinars if it wasn't for you guys and asking questions and just wanting to learn more and more. So, and of course, we have to thank the National RIA for making all of this happen, and Anish. So that's all from me, everyone. But as I said, I will be putting helpful links in the chat for you guys So check out the chat box. If you have any questions, everyone, go ahead and put those questions in the Q&A section. In your Zoom menu, there's a Q&A box. So go ahead and put your questions in the Q&A box so they don't get lost in the chat. But now is the time for our webinar. I just want Tommy and Jason to introduce themselves if you guys haven't met them already. They are involved in our in-person events. They've done a webinar with us, and they're just really dedicated to helping you guys in so many, more than one way. So they want to educate you guys, they want to plug you in, and just do as much as they can to help you guys succeed. So welcome.
Good morning. Jason, why don't you introduce yourself and I'll give the history from there.
Yeah, no problem. I'm Jason Hamilton. I'm the business development manager here at the RealtyMatics. So if you ever have any property management needs here in Central Florida, feel free to reach out to me. Happy to chat and address any questions or concerns you might have about us.
Great. My name is Tommy Wecklew. I'm the broker, one of the owners of the company. We are located in Orlando, but I did grow up in South Florida. I grew up in Hollywood, Florida until I was 20. I went to St. Thomas Aquinas and Fort Lauderdale, so some of you might recognize that. But I moved to Orlando in 2002 to visit my brother who was going to the University of Central Florida. My parents ended up moving here shortly after, and we decided to do a family business. And the family business started out as buying houses and flipping them, just like you have learned already in a lot of your classes. But what we found shortly after doing that, and doing very well at doing that, was why are we selling these houses? We could just be keeping them for ourselves and keeping them for future income and cash flow and equity. So we started doing that. We started selling houses to investors like yourself, and also buying them for ourselves. So as you can see, you know, being that we're in Orlando, everything is Disney oriented. This is not a real pool. Just like if you went to Disney, it's not real birds that are flying around, you know. And we are a full service real estate brokerage that specializes with acquisition of rental houses and long-term monthly management. So one of the cool things about our company is we help you find the houses that are good rental opportunities. And then ultimately the goal is for us to manage them for you. So normally when you buy a rental house, you're buying it from a realtor or a real estate agent who, once they sell it to you, they're done. They don't have anything else to do. They found you the house. So they don't really have the best, you know, they don't want to necessarily always find you the best house. We have a very strong reason to find you a great rental house because we know ultimately we want to manage it for many, many years. So everything that we pitch to our clients, our houses, we know that we can manage for really good renters in good areas, and we actually own them ourselves. My business partner and I, and even Jason, own rental houses here in the same neighborhoods that we're pitching. But what's unique about Central Florida compared to where you guys are down south is we can find houses here, brand new construction, for $250,000. I mean, that doesn't exist anywhere near you guys. So we're finding these houses, we're putting renters in for almost $17.99 a month, almost $1,800 a month for these houses. And we're monthly managing them for the long term. So one of the advantages of the houses that we're buying is they're brand new. So there's no repairs for the first several years. There's no, unless it's a fluke, everything is new. So there's not much to have to worry about. So for an investor who is just starting out in the business or doesn't want to be dealing with properties who have a lot of issues, buying new construction is a safe play. You park your money and you do nothing. The manager does everything, and then you recoup the appreciation over the years. For many of you, you're focused on buying houses to flip, make money. Nothing wrong with that. It's a great business model. You can make a lot of money doing that. But the people that we focus on are the ones who need to park money somewhere that is going to grow and grow and grow over the years in a place that's safe, knowing that if you ever needed the money, you could just sell the house, right? So we're buying long-term investment houses and we're keeping them and enjoying the equity. Now, one of the questions why we're here to talk to you today is why are we buying new construction houses with today's interest rates, right? The interest rates are so high. And the answer is really, we're buying them for the long-term appreciation and the tenant paying down the debt, and of course the cash flow, which will come over time. But initially, the most important part is buying houses in an area that we know we're going to grow and we know we're going to appreciate because of job growth, growth in the city, just the areas themselves growing. So what I'd like to get into, Jay, if it's okay, is kind of sharing a little bit about where we're buying, and then maybe you can share with what we're doing to help them manage it. Does that sound good? Yeah. Okay, so right now, you may have seen it on the news, other places, but there's two hot spots in Florida that we're buying houses. One is Ocala. Why are we buying Ocala? What's out there? Horses? No, actually, it's one of the fastest growing cities in the country. The reason being is a community there that's called the Villages. I don't know if you've heard of it or not. Most of you may have, living in Florida. It's been around for many decades. And the people that live there are 1% wealth. They have very high retirement income. They spend their money and they live there because it's a beautiful place to live. They have 4 golf courses, restaurants, doctor's offices. Everything these people need to live is within this gigantic community of nearly 150,000 residents. Everyone drives a golf cart. No one has any cars. And they've been living there for decades to enjoy this lifestyle. So we've been buying houses just outside this community and renting them to the people who work inside this community. But what's interesting is in 2019, the developer of the Villages, who's been around for decades, bought another 8,300 acres of land. He's doubling in size. If you go on the county permit website, you can see he's already started construction inside of his retirement community of 40,000 houses, 40,000 houses of people that are moving here to Florida to live in this community that needs support. And just about every 2 people needs 1 person for round numbers sake. So we have all these people moving to the Ocala area to live, to help service these people that are living in these types of communities. But on top of that, Ocala is the horsing industry leader of the country. So we have gigantic farms there to employ lots of people where all the horse races come, and they take care of that industry there too. They just built the equestrian center, which is the gigantic world equestrian center, for lots of jobs there. And even on top of that, there can even be more. I'm like a salesperson. They have 4 or 5 brand new distribution centers that are already open, and there's more coming. Chewy.com, Dollar General, I think there's an Amazon, there's multiple ones that are there because the I-75 highway is right by the exit where Wildwood and Ocala is. So there's more and more of these jobs coming in. And why would they want to live there? Because it's affordable. The homes in Orlando are way more expensive to live. Homes there are not as expensive to live. They get a 1/4 acre of land, 3-bedroom, 2-bath house with 2-car garage with granite kitchens and hard floors, where in Orlando, they can never have anything like that. So that's why the draw is happening there. And that's why we're buying so many houses in that area and still can for $250,000 and rent them out very, very quickly. So that's just something to consider if you're an investor who's looking to just park money and not necessarily flip them. This is an ideal place for you to consider because you're able to buy them with us and then we manage it for you monthly. We put the check in your account every month and we move on from there. So Jason, why don't you share some of the benefits of what we're doing for them and we can get into some more stuff after that.
Yeah. Just to clarify what Tommy was saying about Ocala is one of the fastest growing cities. It's actually the 5th fastest growing city in America. And by Ocala, there's actually a number of cities there. We just refer to it as Ocala, but there's Ocklawaha, Summerfield, Bellevue, Wildwood, Marion Oaks. There's a bunch of, it's kind of conglomerate, but we refer to them as Ocala, and it's the 5th fastest growing city in the country. But a bit about us. You know, we do manage 1,500 doors. We've been doing this since 2008, and we have 58 people on staff. So we've got the size, we've got the experience, and we do have the proper infrastructure in place. And we are a bit of a unique property manager in that we're led by a former NASA engineer. I mean, literally no other property manager in the country can say that. But what it's allowed us to do, Ben, who's Tommy's business partner, has written our own proprietary software that we use in-house. And what it does is we're departmentalized. So typically when you hire a property manager, you have your one point of contact, and that person's going to do everything for your home. They're going to collect rent, disperse funds, handle maintenance issues, work with the HOA, all that stuff. The problem is it's extremely inefficient because you're wearing 15 different hats throughout the day. So what we did is departmentalized everything a few years ago. So everyone has a specialty. We've got a leasing department, inspection team, accounting, new business, rehab, maintenance, everything. But your property manager is the one point of contact, and they're ultimately responsible for everything that has to do with your property. And the property manager works one-on-one with the owners, and they each have their own assistant that works one-on-one with the tenants. So there's no conflict of interest. You know, your property manager can't get a sob story from the tenant and then try to convince the owner to act in a certain manner because they're separation of duties. But we do have this software program that Ben created in-house that keeps everyone on the same page, streamlines the process, integrates and communicates throughout the entire company so that everyone knows exactly what's going on with your property at any given time. And it automates a lot of the process. So it takes a lot of the human error element out of the equation. If you look at our Google reviews, we're 4.6 rating. We've got 1,175 reviews. I think that's 400 more than the next closest competitor. So I think we're doing something right. But we do have some other opportunities that no other property managers in the country can say they can offer. One is a property performance dashboard that Ben created that is it's based on real-time data, and it shows all the calculations that you want to see as an investor, from cap rate, cash flow, equity, appreciation rate, anything that you want to see, those hard numbers in real-time data. It'll show you on this property performance dashboard. We call it the PPD.
For your property specifically, it's for their property specifically. Yeah.
Yeah, for your property specifically. And if you have multiple properties, you have a whole portfolio there. But also when your property is vacant, you're curious what's going on with it. You can see how many showings, how many leads, how many applications. It shows data on what's going on with the vacancy of your property. And when it comes to maintenance, we've got a maintenance section in this PPD that shows all the inspection reports, shows repair bids. You can approve stuff, you can send money, you can talk to your maintenance coordinator right there. Really anything, photos, you want to see photos of inspections, everything's there in this PPD. So because we wrote it in-house, it's our own proprietary software, there's no other property manager that has access to this. And trust me, there's a lot of them around the country that are trying to buy it from us right now, but it's kind of a unique selling point for us. So we're not interested in selling at this point. We also have an upfront rent option. We partner with a third-party financial institution called Steady. We can give you the entire year's worth of rental income up front. So if you had a better place to invest those funds, it may make a lot of sense to do that. Now, Steady is going to take somewhere between 7 and 10%. So it better be a good investment. But the benefits to you, not only do you get the money up front, and you can go reinvest it somewhere else, maybe use that as a down payment on your next investment property. But if your tenants are ever late, or they don't pay rent, or they vacate the property, or they even get evicted, it's not your problem. We have to deal with that as the property manager. So you do have some peace of mind that you don't have to deal with some of those issues that a lot of other investors out are having to deal with. If you have any other questions, please let me know. We've got our contact information on the webinar here, and feel free to reach out to me directly. But I'd love to chat with you more about what we do. Looks like we do have a couple of questions here, Tommy. Do we manage any other areas, Brooksville and Naples? We're limited to Central Florida. So we're essentially from the Ocala area down to Sebring, and from Daytona Beach on the Atlantic side over to Tampa on the west side. Are you concerned about the possibility of a market crash? No, actually property management thrives when the recession hits because there's less buyers in the markets, there's more renters. We actually do quite well whenever there's sort of a recession.
Well, let's talk about that for a moment, because maybe they're talking about the properties that we're buying, right? So the interesting thing about the area that we're buying is because of the price point of these houses, we don't see that there's going to be a significant drop in any kind of price because they can't go any further down. The people that are living there are moving there and making more income, but the houses are still very, very affordable. But the one thing I will tell you about Florida, which you may already know, is there's so many people moving here daily, more than moving out. And I can give you a stat that Jason and I use very often to chat with investors about is this is our number. This is the number that we have from our own data. 7 out of every 10 of our renters that are moving in this week are renters that just moved here from out of state. That's how many people are moving here every week. So there's a shortage of rental houses. There's a shortage of even houses to buy. So of course, the crash is something that the media talks about, and a lot of very smart people, way smarter than me, can predict these things. But the reason why I feel safe with my properties is I know that I'm in an area of growth. I'm not in an area that isn't growing. I'm not in an area that's overpopulated, and I'm not in an area that is too expensive to rent. If you bought a house in downtown Orlando, it doesn't cash flow positive. The rent that they're paying is nowhere close to the amount of money that it takes to cover the rent. So that's why we feel that these are a very safe play to park your money, more so than in the stock market or other places, that even if things slim down, the renters are still paying down your mortgage, right? And then you're still getting the benefit of the rents going up over time and being in an area of growth. So that's a very good question. Do we offer any financing on the home that you buy for investors? Well, we do work with quite a few different lenders who help us. So we don't specifically offer private money, but we have plenty of lenders who know the products that we're selling, who we could introduce you here that are easy to buy. Most of our clients are putting down 20 to 25%. Just depends on their own financial situation. The reason why they only put down 20 or 25 is because they want to buy more. So they're leveraging right now. So it's a very good question. what are the typical cap rents or rental on the 250 properties? So we don't really use the word cap rates for our rental properties. That's a number that's used for lots of different reasons. But our main focus is what are the rents today and what is the future rent? Because if I told you what the cash flow is today, which is basically nothing, if you put 20% down on a house today and you rent out the property after you're paying your management fee and your taxes and insurance, it's a very, very, very small cash flow today. But that's not why we're buying them for today. These are properties that we're buying for a future. The renters are paying down the mortgage and the future appreciation. And of course, as time goes on, the cash flow does improve. But I will tell you this, we've done lots of calculations and regarding that specific question. If you took $65,000 now, which is basically what it costs to buy a $250,000 house, right? $50,000 for 20% down and some closing costs. Within a 5-year period, using a 5% appreciation. So that's a very conservative appreciation because we've been averaging 10.6 appreciation for the last decade. That's a fact, and we can send that to you. But I'm using a very conservative 5% appreciation. I'm using the renters paying down the mortgage, the debt, and I'm also calculating in some cash flow that you'd be making along the way. So over a 5-year period, that $65,000 investment is going to go up over 140% return in that time period. That's because of the appreciation, the depreciation, and the depreciation, the debt pay down, and some cash flow. That doesn't even add in some other benefits like cost segregation and some other tax stuff that you may have heard from some of your other classes, or if you're interested, we can teach you. Just using those 3 direct numbers, the renters paying down the mortgage, future appreciation of 5%, and a little bit of cash flow, you're making 140% return over that time period, and it's secured by the house. So that's one of the bigger reasons why we are buying these. So the cap rate is a little deceiving because we're not buying them with cash flow initially. It's just going to take some time for that. But over the 5-year and plus period, which most of our investors keep them for life, they're making a lot more than that. So it's a very good question, George. James says, can you run through the process of acquisition of a property, financing, and your fees? So, okay, very simple. There's no fees to you. We help you find a house. The builder pays us a typical 2.5% or 3% commission or whatever they're offering. We don't have any relationship with these builders as far as we're making money from the builders. They're paying just a typical commission. So we present to you properties to consider with a cash flow analysis over the next period of time. 5 years typically is what we like to use. You then say, okay, yes, that property makes sense for me. We get the builder's contract, we send it to you, and then you typically close in 30 or 35 days, whatever your lender can do. We also have some properties that are not built yet that take some time to build. You can put down a deposit and wait for those to be built and closed at that time. So those are part of that as far as that goes. But there's no actual fees to the buyer. We're getting a standard commission. The only fees you're going to get are once you start doing management and it actually gets rented, then that's when we start collecting fees. We don't charge anything else. So good question, James. Alan asks, what is the range of price of houses you deal with? Would love an idea of what it would take to invest in a Ocala. Well, it's about 65 to 70 grand, right? $250,000 house is about 65,000 bucks, 60,000 bucks maybe. Depends on your financing costs and some other things. So that's what we can find. We have plenty of those to go around. We have ones that are more expensive. But as you get to the larger sizes, it doesn't necessarily make you much more rental income. So we've been focusing on the smaller houses. When you say, Jay, the smaller ones seem to be the ones that keep the renters in the most, so. Ed says, what's the terms of property insurance in the area? So on a brand new construction house in Ocala, it's like $750 a year. So, I mean, I don't know where you can insure anything for $750. But by the way, we'll talk about this in a minute, but in Palm Bay, where we're buying houses as well, which is right on the coast, those homes are only $800 a year, brand new construction. So the newer houses are getting the lower prices for the insurance for sure, because they're up to date with all of the wind standards and windows and everything from the builder. So that's a very good question, Ed. Let's see, if prices in Florida are really starting to spike, which will affect rents, correct? Of course, sure. I mean, obviously, the higher the price of the homes go, the higher the rents are going to be. But there's 60-something% of everybody in Central Florida is a renter. You can look that up too. That's how many people are renters here in Central Florida. So they're going to have to rent somewhere. And we're still more affordable than a lot of other places in the state of Florida. So when they're choosing a place to move to Florida, they're going to choose Central Florida over Miami, or Tampa is even more expensive, and Jacksonville is just boring. So really, if you look at it, Central Florida is really the place we're going to see that happen the most. And I hope that answers your question, Ed. You can, if I didn't answer it enough, please let me know. Are these homes within a homeowners association? Nope, there's no homeowners association at all. These are we buy these called spot lots. So basically the builders have purchased lots that are in between houses that already exist in neighborhoods. So it's just a typical Florida neighborhood like you see in a movie. You're driving down, there's houses there, there's no HOA, and they're all on a 1/4 acre of land. And there's no rental restrictions. We're just used to the typical county restrictions, which is pretty much free game, obviously. So I hope that answers your question, Daniel. Thank you. Gavin, how you doing? He says, I'm a new investor looking to purchase rental homes. Most places are asking 20% down. Yeah, obviously, unfortunately, it's gonna take about 20% down to buy a house. I've seen some lenders do 15, but most of them are 20% down. If you are a new investor, I can tell you just a quick idea. Buy a house as your primary house, live there for a year, and then buy another house the next year and turn that first one into a rental. You can buy that house with 3.5% down, or you're in for $7,000, $10,000, and you can get the seller to pay your closing costs. So for $10,000, give or take, you can buy a house, live in it for a year, then the next year buy another new house and turn the first one into a rental. That's the way I would start if I didn't have the 20% down. In fact, that's the way my brother and I did start. We bought houses when we went to UCF and we rented the rooms to our friends so we could live for free. Michael says, what's the price range for the new construction? They're about $250,000. Sometimes we have them at 230, 240, but they're much smaller. Most of them are right around the $249,000 mark. So do these houses need renovations? Nope, Marianne, these are brand new construction houses. We're buying these specifically because we don't want to have to worry about repairs for the first several years. So if you're a new investor and you don't want to deal with the risks and you want to park your money in an area of growth, that would be the reason why we're buying these. So the deposit on a non-built home, that's a good question, Marianne. Typically, it's anywhere from $5,000 to $20,000, depending on the builder. And depending on how far along they are with the construction. The longer they are to finish, the less the deposit is. And I'm happy to send you some properties that are coming up over the next 3 to 6 months if you would like to see those. What builder is it? Andrea says, what builder? So we work with several builders in the area. These are all not gigantic DR Hortons, right? These are small builders that build anywhere from 50 to 200 houses a year. And they are mostly concrete block construction. We sell almost exclusively CBS construction homes. Not that the frame houses are bad. We still have those as well, but most of our investors are buying the block houses, and that's what these are too. What does the monthly cash flow look with the $65,000 investment? So initially, it's basically not very much at all. You couldn't live on it. But let me ask you this. Even if it was $200 a month, what are you going to do with that $200? It doesn't do you any good in your life today, right? Because you have a job and you're moving through. But over the course of the next 5 to 10 years, as the renters are paying down the debt and you're paying off the mortgage, of course, then it becomes a cash flow king. But then you also are receiving all this appreciation over that time period, which now makes your house worth a lot more money. And I will just share just a quick sidebar. We do have investors who live by what's called the refi until you die strategy, right? Which basically means they're constantly refining their houses when they have equity so they can break even on the rental income, so they don't have to pay taxes on the rental income. And the equity that they have pulled out of that house is tax-free. It's their money, it's their equity. So there are quite a few investors who don't want to have cash flow because they don't want to pay taxes on the income. They're just constantly pulling out the equity every 5 years or so and living off that money or using that to buy more property. So that's a good question. Jason, why don't you ask your Millie about the rent, percentage of rent?
Yeah, so what is the percentage of rent you charge for management? 8%. We really have 3 options for you. There's 8, 9, and 10%. So depending on your situation, the process is the same for us. But if you go with the 8% monthly management, it would come with a 75% leasing fee the first month. If you went with 9% option, it would be a 50% leasing fee the first month. And at 10%, you're going to see a 35% leasing fee the first month. Same process, just you can effectively pay a little more initially and less on the monthly side or vice versa.
We do that because some investors have houses in areas that have a lot of turnover. Maybe the area trends to be renters move out every year as opposed to our typical renter stays about 4 years. So if you're in an area that you purchased a property that has higher turnover, you're typically want a lower leasing fee because you're constantly re-renting the property. That's why we offer that. To us, it doesn't make a difference. It's within a couple dollars a year. So it's really depending on the investor's choice. Dennis says, do we find houses below market that needs rehab before placing them on the rental market? Nope, we don't really focus on that too much anymore because they don't exist. It's very hard to find them here. And if you think about it, there's hundreds and hundreds of investors that are trying to buy those same houses. So they're all competing and they're paying too much for those houses. So we have found that for the same amount of money, we can buy brand new construction houses that don't need any repairs, that get very good rents, that have all the upgrades you need, and you have less money out of pocket. And again, it's just a specific type of strategy. Doing the other way of buying them, flipping them, or rehabbing them, there's nothing wrong with that. It's a great idea for some people who can find those particular houses, but they are much harder to find, and typically they're not always in the best neighborhoods from what we've seen here. So we tend to focus right now on the fact that we can still buy new construction houses in areas of growth that are doing well. So good question though, Dennis. Alexandria says, question on sinkholes, has that been happening? I mean, they do exist. We've never had one at any of our properties. We don't have houses that are typically prone to them, but some of the areas, on the news will mention that there's a sinkhole there, but we've never had that issue in 18 years. And we haven't had any owners have the same issue. So I think it's more of just like it's just like a hurricane coming through or a tornado or whatever. It's just kind of a fluke and there's no way of knowing that's going to happen. I don't think there really is good insurance for sinkholes anyway. So, but we don't typically buy insurance for sinkholes because it doesn't really happen. So, Marianne says, please send me properties that are coming up. Yep, no problem, Marianne. After we get done with this, we'll send you some opportunities and share with you more about the rental company. We don't do short-term rental though, Marlena. We have found that most of our investors want to do the long-term because it's consistent. Where what we have found with the short-term rentals is it's heavily rooted in the economy. So you can do really great when everybody's renting, but then you can lose your shirt when the economy slips a little bit and no one's renting your property. And the problem with what we have found with short-term rental purchases is you're buying that property based upon how much money it makes per day, which is a lot more expensive than what the house is really actually worth if you were to buy it a block over and it wasn't zoned short-term. So our investors focus on the long-term because they feel that it's less issues and they're focused on the long-term appreciation. And I will tell you, problem that we've also seen with the short-term rental is everyone's doing these Airbnbs, but not all these houses are zoned for short-term rentals. So you buy a house thinking you're going to have this wonderful Airbnb, then the neighbors complain because you have people in and out of the houses and you weren't even zoned for that in that neighborhood. So there's been a lot of mistakes happening where people are buying houses thinking that they're going to do short-term and come to find out that they're not even allowed to. And it wasn't zoned for short-term. So I would look into that to make sure that's the best move for you. Some people do very well with it by Disney, but then again, when the economy is going the way it is, they also are not rented out for many, many weeks and they lose their shirt. So what is the average rental price? Yeah, so Majid, right now for the $250,000 that we're buying, we're getting over the last couple of months, we've gotten $1,750 to $1,799. There's no rhyme or reason why one goes for $1,799 or $1,750. It's just our owners are trained that if it doesn't rent within the first few days, then we lower the price to get somebody in there because it doesn't make sense to have your property sitting for over a month. You've already wasted a whole month's of rent. So, but they're between $1,750 and $1,799, and they're doing very well. So that's a very good question. Thank you, Shannon. Yeah, we'll send you some properties. Thanks for writing that. Appreciate that. Jason, do you want to share more about any like the upfront the prepaid rent? Because I really think that's a really big thing that we have. So.
Yeah, well, typically what we do, anybody who's interested in learning more about upfront rent, we put together an email introduction between that individual and John Higgins, who runs the Steady Upfront Rent program. And then they'll talk about everything, answer all your questions and concerns, give you a proposal, and you can decide if it's right for you or not. Now, they are going to take somewhere between 7 and 10% of the rental income. That's their risk for giving you the money up front. But, if you obviously, if you didn't have a mortgage, that would be a dynamite deal because you can reinvest that money elsewhere. But it may not be for everyone. But like I mentioned earlier, if the tenants are ever late on rent or don't pay rent or get evicted or you vacate the property, not your problem. We have to deal with that as a property manager. So not only does that provide peace of mind, but you could have lost quite a bit more money if the tenant wasn't paying rent or got evicted and damages and whatnot. So we've got to deal with all that information or those issues. Sean here
Gee,
says,
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Jay. Sorry.
Sean's asking, does Ocala have a large enough job market to buy rental houses? Yeah, we've had a lot of success renting out the properties up there. The Villages being the largest retirement community in the world, there's a lot of people who work in the Villages but can't afford to live there, or they're not of age, because a lot of them are 55 and up communities. So if you work in the Villages and you're in your 20s or 30s, you can't afford to live there, first of all, but you may not be able to anyway because of the age restriction. But you can live in Summerfield, Bellevue, Wildwood, Ocklawaha, Marion Oaks, and commute in. It's actually a reasonable commute and a lot more affordable for you. But yeah, there's a lot of Tommy did mention all these distribution warehouses, Amazon, Chewy.com. There's a bunch of other ones there as well. But a lot of people have the ability to work remotely now. One thing we learned with the shutdown and COVID is that people can work from home and be pretty productive. So we are getting 7 out of every 10 applicants we get are from out-of-state applicants, and we have about 1,500 people a week moving to Central Florida. So we're definitely growing, and with people working from home, they can live anywhere. And a lot of people coming down from the Northeast, have a hard time finding places in the Orlando area because there is a shortage of housing. But a lot of people like that lifestyle. Ocala is a little more laid back. It's more rural. There is a big equestrian community, and there are other villages up there. So a lot of people do like that area, and we're not having any problems renting those properties out at all. And with the Villages doubling in size, another 43,000 acres, that's going to create more jobs, more opportunities, more infrastructure needed, and more jobs all around.
Yeah, I definitely agree, Jay. I mean, that's why we're buying there personally, is because of the growth of the Villages. I mean, with having that many new people moving into the community, they're going to need that many more people that are the service industry to service these people. And we're definitely seeing, as we are renting over the last couple of years, the average income has been going up in the area, and the amount of people in there is unbelievable how much the growth is. I know, if you're from Florida, you always think of the Village as being in Ocala, and it's like a horse country and very quiet, but it's actually a pretty busy area because of this community. And now, because of the distribution centers on the I-75 highway, is bringing in so many jobs. That's adding another layer of workers in that area, which is just around the corner from the Villages. So people are moving there a lot for these really good jobs. So, and I think Jay's right. I mean, we do see that the renters like having a larger piece of land. I mean, these are quarter-acre houses, and they have the garage and they have the space. So there's a real sense of well-being when they live there, because it's not in a major city and they're not paying the same rent as it is in that city. So that's a good question, Sean.
Not to mention all the construction jobs up there with all the growth that's happening.
That's true. Yeah. I mean, with the amount that the builder's doing alone in that community, there'll be construction jobs there for a decade. So Majid, does that cover everything? So yes, obviously right now, and I can send you, if you're interested, the cash flow analysis for these properties. But basically your mortgage, tax, insurance, and a management fee, all of that would be covered from the rent. There should be a little bit more depending on what interest rate you get. But really it's not a cash flow king year one, that's for sure. But over time, it becomes a very good investment for the long term. So Sovereign says, what are some of the factors that you look to determine that an area is going to be good for renting? Well, we mentioned a few of them already, Sovereign. I mean, obviously the growth of Central Florida is why we're buying in these areas. The job growth is a big one. The overall satisfaction of living there, and then the trend of the rents going up and the prices going up. But one of the reasons why we've been focused on Ocala, and again, I'll get into the Palm Bay in just a second, but is because it's affordable to live there and people are flocking there. So we're really looking for job growth. We're looking for future appreciation, price range, and basically, obviously schools come into play, but the schools tend to increase in quality as the higher income comes in. We've already seen that happening. So mostly for us, it's just areas that we know are going to appreciate well and stay rented all the time. We want the houses to stay rented all the time. So let's see. Okay. John Moran says, are you sending available investment properties to all participants, or do you want me to send an email requesting to Jason? We actually just send it to Jason. We'll send it to you individually. We like to meet each person and tailor what they need specifically. Not everybody wants necessarily the same house. So thank you, John. Just send that over and we'll respond right away with available properties for sure. So that's a good question. Let's see if there's any other questions here. Okay, well then if you don't mind, Jay, I'll get into Palm Bay a little bit, if that's okay. So Palm Bay is the second area that we're investing heavily. Palm Bay is just north of you guys, and it's directly basically east of us for the most part, right by Melbourne. And the reason why we're buying brand new construction houses in Palm Bay is because of the space industry. It's a gigantic industry that's growing like crazy. Melbourne, the city of Melbourne, went to all the big players in 2017, Boeing, Blue Origin, all the names you can think of, and said, if you put our headquarters here, an office, we'll give you significant tax breaks. So these companies did come. And not only did they come, but they're building things actually right here in the warehouses, the rockets, the pieces, all this stuff is happening right on the Space Coast. So there's a lot of high paying jobs that are coming into the area. But the reason why Palm Bay, if you looked on the map, is the area that they're moving to is because Melbourne is kind of a sleepy, beachy town. Everything's a condo or house on the water, and it's not really designed for necessarily the families for the most part. So Palm Bay is just on the opposite side of I-95. So we have reduced the cost of insurance because of that barrier, which is part of the barrier that the insurance companies use is the I-95 type area there. And we're buying brand new construction houses there. These homes are more expensive, obviously, because the average income is higher. And I'm happy to send you these, but these range from 279 up to 330, but the rents are significantly higher. So this is another opportunity where you're going to buy a property just like in Ocala, that will cash flow break even pretty much for the first year, and then over time will appreciate. But the draw here is the space industry, which is not going to end anytime soon. And the reason I know this is because my business partner, Ben, worked for NASA on the space shuttle and then worked for Siemens for a decade. So we have a very strong following of people that work in the industry, and we know that the growth is going to continue to go there. And we're seeing the renters pile in from all over the world that are moving into this area to focus on working in the space industry or servicing the people that are working in the space industry. So it's another area of high growth that's still, by the way, $100,000 less than the median home price in Orlando. So still an affordable place for a family to move to. We see families coming here on a 3 to 5 year contract, working for Boeing or whatever it is, and they rent a house and then they don't move because they're there, and then they leave after that. So that's a popular thing that happens. But again, the growth of this area is fully focused on the growth of the space industry, but all those homes are new. So Palm Bay was kind of a quiet little area, a little house here, a bunch of vacant land, a little house here, a lot of vacant land. And then builders started building next to those older houses that are there. And now we have all these great houses with people living there that are focused on the space industry. So that's another area that we focus. We'll go from there. Yes.
So one thing about Palm Bay is back in 2020, Bigger Pockets named it the #1 city in America to invest in. And I believe it was USA Today this year in 2022 also named it the #1 city in America to invest in. So it's definitely a hot spot. And, all the opportunities with the aerospace industry, but there's a lot of people that want to be on the water. They like that salt life. They like what comes along with it. And it is more affordable. So great opportunities out there.
Let's see. Marianne says, are there, for Majid, yes, we'll send you cash flows. Thanks, Majid. Marianne asks, are there any rules to the amount rents can increase yearly, or do you increase rents based on the market? So there's two factors that we do. We're raising the rents on the current tenant. We typically raise it up just a little bit, $50, $75 or more, depending on what the market is, because we want to retain them. Because if they move out, then you have to put another renter in there, you lose time, and then you're paying another leasing fee. But if the property was vacant, then we're constantly re-renting them at the highest price possible. So yes, there's no necessarily rules that we have to follow as far as the county goes. We're just renting them at whatever the market rate is, going from there. Dennis, are your lenders offering DSCR loans? We know some lenders that offer that for portfolio loans. Most of the DSCR we do for building houses. But yes, we can find you a lender that focuses on that. Yes, I'm currently doing one as we speak right now. So for both houses in one package of loan. Sovereign, what are the costs per quarter acre of land in Ocala? Well, I'll tell you what the cost is, and then I'll tell you why you don't need to bother. But the cost right now is around $25,000 for a decent property in an area that's already surrounded by other houses, give or take. But the reason why you don't need to bother that is we already have the builder building the house, and it's already at a really good price. So if you were to buy that land and try to build the house yourself, you're not going to buy for much cheaper than they're building it for already. So, but to answer your question, it's about $25,000 or so for a good lot. we actually have paid as high as 35, 33 over the last couple of years, but over the last few months, we've seen them get down to around 25 for a really good one. So Claudia, what are the warranty for the new build? So the builders typically offer the typical 1-year warranty, which comes with anything that's a defect during the first year they take care of. And actually, that's one of the benefits of us managing it for you is when the renter finds something wrong, they let us know, we contact the builder and we get it repaired, assuming that it was some kind of a defect or whatnot. Our builders always offer the warranty. They don't ever say no. So we're not worried about them disappearing. So that's a typical warranty. But then, of course, they come with the standard 5-year for the AC or 10 years, 20-year for the roof. Appliances all have a manufacturer warranty of a year. So those are the typical warranties. We don't have, none of these builders offer anything crazy, unusual offers for warranties because they don't have to. They're selling them so quickly, but they do offer the first year. And by the way, that first year, we find everything wrong usually with the property because we won't notice it or you wouldn't notice it by walking through the property when you close. But once someone lives there for a while, they start to find the kinks, and that's when we're able to iron out those issues. So that's a good question, Claudia. Yeah. So to get back to the Palm Bay, so this is just another area that we're focusing on, just like Ocala, that we know we're going to see continued appreciation that will exceed some of the other areas because it's still more affordable than other parts of Central Florida. And with the amount of people that are moving here, we know that that's going to continue to grow. And again, as we mentioned at the beginning of the conversation, I'm only using a 5% appreciation as our estimate when we've actually seen an average from the last 10 years of 10.6. So if you imagine if you were to average that 7 or 8 or 9% a year, how much more of a return you'd get. But for this particular focus, we start very conservative and use a 5% appreciation. So let's see if there's any other questions here. No questions just yet. Jason, do you have anything to add before I get into something else? Oh, how do we get a list of houses available in Palm Bay? Looks like there's a typo. We'll send them to you, Grace. Just send your email and we will send you a list of the houses that are available that in both areas, or Palm Bay specifically, if that's what you're looking for. So Sovereign, how long does it take you to build one of those houses? So our builders in Ocala are taking about 6 months. Our builders in Palm Bay take a little longer, 8 or 9 months. But we do have some that are built right now that are just finishing now, some in a couple months, and obviously some a little longer. So it depends, Sovereign, if you wanted something that's ready now or you just wanted to put a deposit and wait. But typically it's 6 months in Ocala, which because we built them ourselves, doesn't take any longer than that, and about 8 or 9 in Palm Bay. Claudia, let's see. Are you finding any change in trend related to migration to Florida? I've seen some news about Florida becoming overpopulated, possibly deterring movers. I don't know where you're getting that from. That's not true. Florida is definitely a place that people are moving here. As you remember from the pandemic, we were open for business, which a lot of people moved here because of that. And our state is doing a lot of things to keep people like you and I happy and wealthy. So we have not seen any change of people moving to Florida. It's definitely been the opposite of people moving here frequently because they like it better here. There's no state tax and a lot of benefits to owning a property here. So no, we're definitely not seeing any correlation to it changing from that. And we're not anticipating anything like that. So thank you, Majid. We got your email. We'll send you that information today. George says, hi, George. Is Palm Bay more attractive than areas closer to the Cape, like Cocoa Beach or Titusville? That's a good question. So there's just not as many new construction houses closer to Cocoa and Titusville that are affordable. Palm Bay is we've been buying there specifically because of the price range and those kind of reasons. The ones that we've purchased in the past from Titusville and those areas are typically older houses, which we've actually gotten rid of over the years because they start having so many repairs. And for me personally, just to give you some personal information, I'm 46 years old. I own a lot of houses, but I have a young family. I just had a 1-year-old. It's our first baby. So we don't want any properties that have a headache. We got rid of our old houses and specifically bought the new construction because I don't want to have to worry. But every single week I have something that's breaking. I have to put a new roof on this month. I have to buy a new AC for this house. I know that with the new construction houses, that in 15 years, the house is only 15 years old, right? So by then I'll be able to have everything situated and plan accordingly along the way, where if I bought a used house, I have to be ready to be making those repairs sooner than the money that I've been making on the property. It's a very good question though, George. Thank you, Sean. We'll send you that info. Sovereign, what are the size houses and how many bed and bath? Well, over the years, we found a sweet spot. The sweet spot is between 1,250 and 1,500 square feet. It seems to be the range that the renters want to live in. They're all 3-bedroom, 2-bath homes with a 2-car garage. But every once in a while, a builder will make a smaller home, a 2-bedroom, 1-bath with a 1-car garage, or a 3-2 with a 1-car garage, around 1,100 square feet. And we gobble those up because it's always nice to have a property that's the most affordable one in a neighborhood. But the most popular for families in this area that we have rented to are around 1,400 square feet, 1,350, 1,400, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2-car garage. They like the granite kitchens and they like the hard floors. The homes that don't come with the granite kitchen, we've actually upgraded those ourselves because we have found the retention to the renter is longer when they have nicer properties. So thank you, Sovereign. James, Palm Beach, well, or Palm Bay. So if you meant Palm Bay, James, we'll send you that today. We don't go all the way down to Palm Beach. So, but Palm Bay is an area that we focus on and manage a lot of houses. Claudia, some of your areas of focus look far from major airports. Is it safe to assume the goal is long-term rental, that the distance of major airport is less of a consideration for your team? Well, we're managing houses in areas that we know are good rental homes. So our office happens to be 5 minutes from the airport. So that's a good thing for us. But we haven't had any concern of renters that are worried about an airport being too far away. People are specifically moving to these areas because of the jobs and the growth of the areas and the affordability. So the airport has never really been a topic of something that we've had to worry about. These are long-term rentals. So if it was a short-term rental with a lot of people in and out, then yes, of course, that would be something I would be concerned with. I wouldn't be buying a house so far away because why would someone want to go, spend a week in Ocala? I mean, unless they're visiting their family member or something. So the short term, it makes sense to be by the airport, but we're not worried about that for the long term. But very good question, Claudia. Thank you for that.
Hey, Tommy, I think I just misanswered a question there.
Yeah.
You multifamily or single family, and for the new construction, we're building single family, but on the management side, we do manage multifamily. Just the majority of our portfolio is single family.
Yeah, there's just really not very many multifamilies that are being built here. And the ones that we have found that come up for sale are usually in D-type neighborhoods, and they're really not that great. Why aren't they coming up for sale? Well, because why would you sell one? Once you have one, you're not going to get rid of it, right? So we don't really have a big influx of multifamilies coming in here. But I will say this, that's a really good question, Tyann. The reason why I personally focus on the single family home as opposed to the multifamily is on the single family house over a period of time, my home becomes more valuable than the rental, right? So because as time goes on, the house gets to be more money. And as it appreciates, it becomes worth more money than it is as a rental home. Where on a multifamily house, the value of the property only goes up as the rents go up. So it takes much longer for a multifamily, in my experience and from my experience, that it's going to go up in value. And I like buying properties that are going to appreciate fast because then I can pull out that money in a few years and buy another property. As I mentioned, I'm 46. So right now we're in the buying phase, right? We're buying as many as possible and we're leveraging every single one of them. So for me, every time I can pull out equity and bring the cash flow back down to break even and use that equity, which again is tax-free because it's your money, I go out and buy more properties. Every time I have 60 grand, I go buy another property. So I like the single family because there is proven that they do go faster, appreciate over time than the multifamily. So our builders don't do multifamily. It's a good question though. Thank you for that. Let's see. Okay. Thank you. I hope your husband does watch the webinar. Thank you for that. Let's see, Jay, what else can we cover? We got a little more time. So let's see here. Let me ask you this, maybe some people can chime in. Do any of you own houses in Orlando, Central Florida now? If you just put it in the post, I'd be curious to see how many, if you have rentals here already. But we do focus mostly here because we only go around, it's like a 2-hour radius max that we get to for now anyway. So, oh, Elaine, by UCF. Oh, that's right by our office. So if you Google our address, we could probably throw a rock from your house that you have by UCF. So that's great. So thank you, Roy. Appreciate that. And Claudia has them in South Florida. Yeah, Broward. So yeah, that's great, Claudia. That's a great rental area. I grew up there. So I remember that being as a great place to live for sure. So very good question. Sovereign says, how much would you recommend an investor to have in reserve since the property doesn't really cash flow that much? Well, that's a really good question. That's a preference on yourself. Obviously, the more properties that we accumulate over time, you end up having more money to have in reserve. But really, you do want to take in consideration over the course of a brand new construction house. In about 20 years, you're going to put on a new roof. In 10 years, you're going to need a new AC. Some of these things are something that you should consider. But I don't necessarily have a reserve. I just make sure that I have enough money in my bank account to live. And part of that money that I have to live would cover any issues that I have with my rental properties. So I don't really know, Sovereign, what that exact money would be for one house, but typically I was trained by my family to have a minimum of 6 months reserves for all my expenses in my bank account, if not more, to make sure if anything happened, I had that money to cover the cash flow. So that's something good question though. But let me mention this real quick before I get into, Joe, that's great. New construction, Rental Cloud. We'd love the opportunity to pitch to you why we should manage these properties for you. We'd love to give you discounts if you want to use us for management. So something to consider. I know you already may have a manager, but we are really good at what we do, and we'd love to at least share with you privately of maybe we can manage your properties and the benefits of our company. So if you're interested, reach out. We're happy to share that with you. But I do want to mention one interesting thing that I learned from my real estate mentor was even if I lost $150 a month in rental income, meaning I bought a place that's in a good area and I know it's going to do well over time, but I'm losing a little bit of money every month, very tiny amount. Over the course of the time, with the renters paying down the debt and the appreciation, I feel comfortable that even if I lost, $1,500 a year of money up front, that's basically me investing into that property. Because if I did the analysis of what I actually made that year with the appreciation, the tax benefits, which we're not going to go on tax benefits here, that's more someone you guys need to talk to specifically, which we can refer that to you. I'm actually making way more money. So if someone said to you, would you give me $1,500 to make $15,000? And the answer is yes, it's not even a question. So for me, it's not necessarily about the cash flow the first couple of years, because I know they're going to cash flow as I'm paying down the mortgage and the rents are going up. For me, it's about buying in areas of growth, appreciation, and that I know are going to stay rented. And fortunately for investors like yourself, we're already managing houses in these areas. So we already have the data we can share with you. And we own these houses with you. We own houses in the same neighborhood. We're not just people we're investing just like you are. So we're very interested in sharing why we're doing so well. And cash flow is not always the initial thing for us. We're into leveraging and getting as many homes as possible. That being said, we do have some older clients who are at the end of their career who want to park their money and get the cash flow, and they're buying these homes in cash. Makes sense. If you don't want any risk as far as the leverage goes, and you want to just buy these properties outright, then you're going to do very well over time. And they do cash flow right away, obviously, with the cash, paying cash for them. They're just a really smart play, because if you had $250,000 to put in the stock market, some guy in New York is running that money for you. Next thing you know, it's down 30%. Look at it today. But with a house, we know that even if the prices go up and down, we're still making money, which is why investors will pay cash for some houses as they get towards the later careers stages of their life and don't want the leveraging. So you buy them while you're younger with leverage, and then you pay them off in the future. And then the goal is to have a minimum of 10 of them, which would bring you $15,000 a month for the rest of your life, right? That's what people tell me all the time. Problem is, once you get to 10, now you want 20. And then you figure out a way to get 40, right? So, it's not always about the cash flow right away. It's about getting as many as possible. So, Loretta, my son will be going to UCF next year, and I'd really like to invest in a property near there. Yep, that is something we do, Loretta. That we're right by the university. We can help you find properties for that specific situation. So definitely reach out to us. I'm happy to share with you what's available and what you're going to need. In fact, if your son lives there and he rents the other 2 rooms to his friends, you're going to end up paying for basically your home mortgage anyway. So you're going to get the house for free. Your son will have a good thing. He'll be able to use that equity when he finishes school to start his life, right? So that's really a good thing. So good question, Loretta. We'll definitely can help you with that. And then, by the way, Loretta, there's no fee for that. We get paid a typical commission if we help you find a house. So thank you for that. Let's see, that lists other questions on here. No other questions just yet. Jay, do you have anything else to add? We got a little more time, right, Alexa?
No, well, I actually have to hop off. I've got a training I need to get into, but if anybody does have any questions on the property management side, feel free to reach out to me. It's jason@therealtymedics.com. Direct number is 407-792-5688. Happy to help out. We could set up a phone call, but yeah, Tommy, enjoy the rest of your webinar.
Sure. So Jason will be the contact. If you are interested in properties, just send him the email to Jason. He will then forward it to me right away. And my assistant and I will send you all the information right away. But we're specifically using one email to make it easier to track all of our friends that are in the group to come to us. David, thank you very much for stating it's a good webinar. We appreciate the feedback. As you can see, we're very passionate about what we're doing. Again, I've been doing this since or 18 years now, and I started the management side in 2008. Have sold thousands of houses to clients over the years, but it wasn't until one of my investor mentors, who used to refer a lot of people to me to buy houses, said, "We need a really good manager. There's no one in Florida that's doing a good job." And I said, "I don't know if I want to do property management. Sounds terrible." And he said, "Well, if you just do a couple of things, be honest, don't charge for things you don't know about, and communicate well, then you're going to retain investors for a long time." Those 3 very simple things that business is these days, right? So that's what we did. And we started accumulating over time to now, like we said, we have almost 1,600 houses, and we're growing very rapidly. We've been named in Orlando for the last 4 or 5 years as one of the fastest growing companies in Orlando, still maintaining the quality of service. That was by the Orlando Business Journal. So we're very proud of that. That's a very good thing. Sovereign, I don't have enough money up front, so I was wondering if I could just buy the land, get a construction loan, and then refinance. Yes, you can do that, Sovereign. That's definitely something that you can do. And I'm happy to share with you some tips on how to do that, to buy the land now and to possibly build it on in the future. So I'm happy to share with you, Sovereign, anytime regarding that. Thanks, Jay. I know you got to go. Appreciate it. I'll finish up. Angeline, I'd love to get a list of properties in Palm Bay. No problem. Yep, we'll send you that today. We'll get you some different options for Palm Bay, along with some cash flow analysis as well. So let's see. What else we got going on, Alexa? Any more questions here?
I am just blown away by how many questions you guys just answered. We just answered around 53 questions.
Oh my gosh. I'm tired of hearing myself talk at this point,
Oh my gosh, no, you guys absolutely rocked and rolled this whole presentation, and I just learned so much. Thank you guys so much for your positive feedback. We definitely appreciate it.
Yes, thank you.
I want to make sure you guys know that I will be sending each and every one of you a thank you email as soon as we finish this webinar. I'll be sure to include all of the contact information for the Realty Medics. Your point of contact is Jason, so just look out for that. I want to highlight the giveaway that they're giving you for attending this webinar. New clients, 2 months free property management. I'll make sure I put a little reminder in that email for you guys so you can save that. And I just want to make sure we touched on everything that you wanted to cover. I think there are some properties that you have right now. Maybe you wanted to talk about those. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of discussed them. I'd like to send those that are interested, those specific ones. I mean, the crazy thing is whatever's available today could be gone by the end of the day, and then we have to find you some more. So it's constantly changing. So I'll definitely, for those that reach out, and I do want to mention again, for those of you that responded and mentioned you have properties in Central Florida, we'd love the opportunity, now that you got to know us and you can see how passionate we are, to pitch you on why you should consider using us as a manager. or maybe you're trying to manage it yourself from all the way down there. I don't know, so if you're interested in that, please reach out. We'd love to give you why we would do a good job for you. And of course, we would be giving you our special discount for being a member of the group. So thank you to that for sure.
Amazing. And yes, guys, this is Tommy here. He's the owner. He's a broker. Jason, he's the business management executive. He's a realtor. So guys, we are here. We're in the trenches with you. We are here to help. We do have some amazing people in our network. Every day I wake up blessed because we have you guys by our side. So any last questions, guys? This is the time. But otherwise, thank you so much, Tommy. This was so good. We did record today's webinar. We will be posting it on our YouTube channel within 48 hours. I'll just go ahead and throw that link in the chat right now for you guys. But of course, this will all be included in the thank you email that I will send to all of you guys after this webinar. I will be sure to send Tommy the contact information for those who attended today, so he can make sure anyone who wants this giveaway, which you have to take advantage of this, guys. So he knows that you attended today's webinar. He will have your contact information, but as I always say, please do your due diligence. And if you want the properties in a certain area, if you're wanting something specific from the Realty Medics and Tommy and Jason, please do your due diligence and send them an email. Please do not call and bombard them with a million questions and a million things. We want to make sure that you guys take them seriously, because they really, really want to help in all the ways they can, just like us here at BPM RIA. So please don't take advantage of this generosity, and please contact them if you are serious. And always, follow up in an email. That's best practices from me, Alexa. So thank you guys so much again. I will send you all that thank you email right now, and check out the replay and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And thank you guys so much. We'll see you guys next time. That hopefully one of the next in-person meetings, we'll see you guys again. So don't forget, guys, we do in-person networking meetings quarterly. The next one is in January, first week of January. It's on the website right now. You can RSVP. And plus, we do have our monthly meeting tomorrow evening on Zoom. It's free. So I hope to see you all again on Zoom tomorrow night. We're going to have an amazing speaker going to get into fundability, which will help with everything you're doing. So see you guys tomorrow night. And thank you again, Tommy. I hope you guys have a great day.
Nice to see you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.